If we were to right now double the amount, essentially building a new nuclear energy plant every week, in the next year we would only solve 1/7 of our energy needs. If you want to look at a real eye-opening read as well, read about the Michigan Institute of Technology Energy Initiative as well, has said that they do support that, but just the numbers are not there for us to go on the path of nuclear energy. We have to invest ourselves in new types of energy, such as biomass, such as wind, such as solar. I think the best example as well of a developed nation going forward is in Brazil. From 2004, when they started investing into E85, which is essentially corn outlay, so right there, it also brings in the agricultural industry into the development of the new energy, and that's the agricultural industry here in America as well. In 2004, when they started doing that, only 7% of their cars ran on E85 technology. Today in 2007, 70% run on ethanol. So that's something that we have to look into. It is relatively cheap to produce. California is leading the nation in that production, so we do need to go forward with that. It is way too expensive to go forward with nuclear energy, and I just do not think it's in America's interest to invest in that developing technology.
Senator Clinton, if your husband and both your husband and President Bush weren't willing to sign the Kyoto Protocol, why do you feel that that the U.S. wasn't willing to make that promise, and how will you promise the U.S. that you'll implement the changes that you're saying that you're going to implement?
Right, so this campaign is all about changing the past mistakes, and I will make sure that the Kyoto is signed in my presidency. Hi.
I have a question for Senator Obama. You stated earlier in your speech that you would spend you would take money from the 1.4 million a day that we spend on oil to reduce emissions. How exactly would that work? Because if I'm not mistaken, that's the amount that Americans spend at the pumps every day. How could you take the money that they spend at the pumps?
Actually, it's $1.4 billion a day on oil. First, I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize. I'm actually very sick, so you might be able to tell by my voice. But I think that the $1.4 billion a day is adequate amount of money to fund clean energy costs for 10 years. This amount of money can allow us to take resources out of different parts of the budget and use them for rewarding all of the students who work hard to come up with new sources of energy. And I plan to basically reward college students for coming up with new means of energy, alternative energy sources.
Right. The question was, where are you getting that money from in the first place? Because you said you were going to take the money, the $1.4 billion to spend every day on oil. But where is the government going to come up with that money? Because that's money that consumers are spending at the pumps. How are you going to obtain that money to divert to the wonderful programs you described?
No, that's actually money from the federal budget that is being spent on the oil.
For what purpose? Isn't that the money that we use throughout the country for federally subsidizing?
That's the money that we use to go into other countries and the agreements that we make with them to purchase the oil initially.
Thank you.
Can I curtail on something real quick? I just wanted to talk real quick about the Kyoto, just add Senator's perspectives as well. I think the Kyoto Protocol is a wonderful protocol. I think the U.S. missed out on an opportunity under Bush because too many of his Texas oil execs would have been adversely affected by that, so of course we didn't go in. But I think really part of my plan as well, which I should remind you was actually the first energy and global warming plan introduced March of last year before any candidate came forward. And also it's the only one endorsed by the Apollo Alliance, if you guys want to research that. Part of the Kyoto Protocol, what we have to do forward is reach a new international climate treaty. There are 3 developed nations that have not jumped onto the Kyoto Protocol: China, India, and the U.S. And I think that is incredibly devastating. Kyoto Protocol does not also go after developing nations who are right now, as a percentage, polluting worse than we are, and we're allowing our corporations to go to those nations and set up shop there so we won't prosecute them based on their emissions. A new protocol needs to come forward in which China and India are included